newspaper. Nos encontramos en este momento en el auditorio del McAllister en Furman University. Hasta acá va a llegar el exmandatario mexicano Vicente Fox, quien va a hablar y dialogar con los universitarios sobre las relaciones bilaterales, cómo se puede hacer entre Estados Unidos y México para conseguir paz. Además, hablará si es importante legalizar las drogas, hablará sobre los negocios, sobre los problemas que hay en la frontera y muchas cuestiones de interés para los muchachos y para México, obviamente, a través de su exmandatario. Queremos decirles también que está llegando personalidades de nuestra comunidad y también hay invitados importantes de la comunidad americana. Está también con nosotros el cónsul de México, quien ha llegado desde el rally para estar presente en este evento. Esto y mucho más usted lo podrá leer a través de Latino Newspaper.
Quiero brindar por el honor de su visita a la Universidad de Furman y por su rol en las relaciones entre los Estados Unidos y México. Mr. President, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome you and your wife, Martha, to Furman University and to the state of South Carolina. And I join you in that welcome on behalf of many members of our Hispanic community who are here today, who admire you for all that you have done to build the relationships between our two nations, the United States and Mexico. Joining me are guests from the Greenville Hispanic community, including guests from the Hispanic South Carolina Chamber of Commerce and other organizations giving voice to individuals and to interests on behalf of those from Latin America. I bring you greetings from the mayor of Greenville, Knox White, and we are also honored to have members of the diplomatic corps of the government of Mexico with us. We have in the audience Ambassador General Carlos Flores Vizcarra, who is here from the consulate in Raleigh, and also Jose Luis Lezon, the Chief of Staff of the Consulate General of Mexico in Raleigh. If I may indulge your good graces, Mr. President, please let me take a moment to introduce you to the university and to the state that you are visiting for the first time.
Muchísimas gracias. Yo espero que todo el mundo hable español aquí, ¿verdad?
Sí.
¿Sí?
Sí.
Porque yo no hablo inglés. Y si no, ¿cómo le vamos a hacer? ¿Cómo nos vamos a entender? Quizá con el lenguaje del amor. Un beso para Marta.
¡Ay, qué lindo!
Big kiss for Marta. She's my companion. We travel together. We share dreams. We share the BlackBerry. She's now known as Mrs. Blackberry. She's working on it right now. Look at her. It was a long journey to get here. We were in Tijuana, Mexico, yesterday at Tecnológico University of Baja California, School of Excellence, School of Hope, right there in Tijuana, which is the door of entry into Mexico. And traveling all night, now we're here in this most beautiful place, this great state, this great Furman University. And so thank you, President, for your invitation. Thank you, Raul, for making possible for us to be here and have a dialogue. We're going to have the opportunity for Q&A and listening your comments. Because I learn a lot every time I come to our university. Cicero used to say, There's nothing better than coming back to university. It's like coming back to the fountain of youth. It's coming back to the sources of knowledge to enrich ourselves. So thank you, all of you, for giving me this opportunity. I know there's quite a few paisanos here. And with your permission, I'd like to address to them. I love you, paisanos. You're my heroes. You are an example of courage, loyalty, hard working, quality. You're a very special cast of human beings. One day you said goodbye to your mom and dad in Mexico, and you decided to move north looking for opportunities, looking for a better life, looking for quality of life to your families back in Mexico. I also come from a migrant family. On both sides, my grandfather came from Cincinnati, Ohio, back in 1895. And he came down to Mexico looking for his American dream. Migration is a two-way street. My grandfather found his American dream in Mexico. He was welcome in Mexico. He came without a penny in his pocket. He was only looking for doing better than what he was doing in Cincinnati. His job was the assistant of the butcher in town. And his job was to sacrifice the hogs, got by the neck, to skin them up. And he got tired of the cry of the hogs. He decided to ride south, crossing borders, mountains. He reached the wonderful land of Guanajuato, where all of you are welcome. After 5 generations, we're still there. The family in Rancho San Cristobal, where you have a home, where you're welcome. From there, we're trying to build bridges. Through Vicente Fox, the first presidential library ever built outside of the United States, we're working every day with passion to build those bridges of understanding. And that's what we need, bridges, not walls. We need to understand the migration and to understand that it is an asset to all nations. Each and every one of you here, looking backwards, also has a migrant heritage. This nation has been built all along by migrants, either from Europe, from Asia, from Africa, from Latin America, from Mexico. So to those loyal people, my dear paisanos, I'm with you all the way, fighting so that you're respected with that respect you deserve and you have gained, so that you're also respected in your human rights, in your partnering with this nation. The President was telling us about history, and it's long, long history between Mexico and the United States. And it's something we should be very proud of. This nation, in a way, is what it is, and part of its competitiveness comes from all these hard-working, quality people If we try to imagine the future world, the world of the 21st century, we can read where the trains are moving towards. And we all have read about this shift in power, in finance and money, in markets, and in political leadership, the shift from west to east. And let me tell you that in that part of the world they're taking this very seriously. They are passionate about education. Countries like Korea, where 83% of kids title from a university. China, that is investing in education more than any other section of the budget. And they are taking it very seriously, assuming the leadership that they think they will have in the near future. Maybe it will not take more than 15 years from now, the Chinese economy will be larger than U.S. economy. And they're working out an agreement, a trade agreement between India and China. Imagine the power capacity they will have together. And the Asian tigers are doing their own homework. But that's the projected future. That's the one we see on the trains. But leaders change the world. And each one of you here is a leader. We're all leaders. We're leaders all the time of our life. We're leaders in any activity we decide to commit with. We can be great leaders moving nations, or we can be leaders within our family, or within our team in sports, or we can be leaders in our community, or in our region. We're all leaders, and we're leaders all the time of our life. As a matter of fact, we never end up building our leadership. But if that is true, why then we don't see that many leaders acting in the arena, as the President mentioned? And it's because many of us don't go within ourselves, don't learn about who we are. What are we in this life for? More important, what is our purpose? No human activity lacks a purpose. Anything we do, anything everybody does, has to have a purpose. And purpose is a very strong, meaningful word. And that's what all starts. You first have the purpose. You first have the objective. And then you build towards that. You don't start putting together the bricks without knowing what kind of building you're going to build. So having purpose is a key issue for the students, for community members, for citizens, or for all persons in the world. About purpose, we have to build the world of the future that we want. And that's in our hands. And we must start with what is close to us. And this is why I was asked to speak about the relationship between Mexico and the United States. It's been difficult, it's been conflicted, but we have built up a very strong friendship. We're neighbors and we're partners. And we are real partners. Because sometimes people wonder if Mexico is a real partner of this nation. Sometimes people complain here that Mexicans are coming here to take away the jobs from U.S. citizens. That's absolutely false. Trading is a win-win situation. And that's why we decided for NAFTA, and we associated both of us, three nations, Canada, United States, and Mexico. Up to today is still the largest, the strongest market in the world. The largest, strongest economy in the world. And Mexico is part of it. Because I don't know if you are aware that Mexico buys, imports from this nation products and services in more quantity and amount than what Italy, France, Germany, and Britain do together. Just Mexico by itself. We are accountable for over 250 billion worth of products that we import from the United States. And of course you can imagine the amount of jobs that means for U.S. citizens. Hundreds of thousands of jobs, millions of jobs for U.S. citizens. God did not create borders. That's a human creation. And I think that we must work together, and in places like this university, on building up those links, that association, that working together, so that we can keep being the leading bloc of nations and economies in the world. Dormant, French word, applies now to NAFTA. In a way, NAFTA is forgotten. In a way, NAFTA is dormant. Maybe the actual administration of the United States is not convinced that NAFTA is the strongest, most powerful tool that we have at hand to protect our own jobs in the United States, in Canada, and in Mexico. NAFTA can be the instrument that we can use to come out of this crisis that we are in right now and bring back growth to our economies and bring back wealth and better income and quality of life to all the families and people in this part of the world. So one thing that we must think about, students from this university and citizens of North America, meaning Mexico, United States, and Canada, is to awaken NAFTA, to have a new vision for NAFTA, so that we can use that instrument to build a better world and a better region. I know the relationship between Mexico and the United States is complicated, more so today. I sense, in a way, a sentiment of fear in this nation after September 11th. And of course that was a very sad day that should ever repeat again. But fear is not a good advice. Fear moved this nation to build a wall in the border. Fear has made this nation to enclose itself within its own territory. I think that we must remove fear and see the future with optimism, with a very strong sentiment of leadership that we can build together that future. And this is where we have to bridge our relationship. And this is where we are concentrated on in Central Park. Mexico right now is going through problems, big problems. Problems that we don't deserve to have. Problems in violence, crime, cartels, blood, killings that we don't deserve. We're not even part of that. If we really look at the problem, we will see that Mexico is just in between. Those who produce the drug in the South, in Colombia, in Venezuela, in Ecuador, in Bolivia, and those who consume the drug in the North, and I mean United States and Canada. In this nation, consuming drugs is prohibited. In the United States, it's illegal. It's a crime to consume drugs. Well, in Mexico, it is not. In most European nations, it is not. And how come the nation where consuming is prohibited is by far the largest consumer of drugs in the world? How come this nation yields a market of consumption of drugs over and above $50 billion a year? $50 billion that go to the hands and to the patrimony of the criminals, of the cartels. $50 billion that go to bribe Mexican police officials or Mexican government bureaucrats, or that go to buy the weapons and ammunition that makes those cartels so powerful, that gives them the capacity to kill over and above 60,000 kids in the last 5 years. 60,000 kids that were killed, 15 to 25-year-olds. Some of them could have been in this university or in Tecnológico in Tijuana. Or some of them could be working for the maquiladoras in the border, or for BMW here in this place. Those kids were not born criminals. Those kids do not have criminality on their genes. The most possible explanation is that somewhere along they lost the path. Maybe they come from broken families where the father left to come to work here or somewhere else in trying to bring in a better life for them. Or maybe they looked for a job and they didn't find it. Or they wanted a scholarship to come to a great university and they couldn't attain it. Right now, we must find out ways out of this trap where we are in Mexico. And the first thing we need is understanding. This nation has to understand that if it's going to keep consuming drugs, you better stop it in the border and not mandate Mexico to do that job. Because we're in the war down there, and here is Joy consuming drugs and producing weapons. We must work together to get out of this trap We must use our mind and talent to find ways out. And today the debate has extended in the world, questioning how successful this war on drugs has been. And most everybody thinks that it's been a total failure. Every year consumption increases, production increases, the yield of money increases, the death toll increases, and no solutions. Nations are not only debating now, they are taking decisions like Portugal. They decided to legalize. They decided to move out the prohibition, like this nation did with alcohol 100 years ago. And that was the answer to the problem of violence. The discussion keeps increasing, and I am sure that we must think about it. Because at the very end, is it right that we request from the state and from government that they become the protectors of our children, that they put them on a crystal bell where they cannot reach and have access to drugs? Or is it our responsibility as parents to take care of our kids, to educate them, to inform them, to prevent them how harmful to their health is consuming drugs? So Mexico right now needs understanding, and when you see the house of thy neighbor burning, you better do something about it. I'm absolutely convinced that if all of us work together, Mexico will come back to be the leading nation in Latin America, the solid partner of the United States. But we need that kind of understanding. So we need to rescue NAFTA and to strengthen our partnership. We need to work on moving out of this trap we have with violence and crime. Right now, both nations, we're going through an electoral process. A lot of decisions are going to be taken. In this nation, most of them related, number one, to the lost leadership of the United States in the world. We miss the leader. We learn from the leader from this nation to live by democracy, to defend freedom, to promote market economy, and to work in peaceful scenarios, to dedicate our efforts to education, to preparing the talent and the leaders that we need to the future. And we are doing well on that. But the discussion is right now whether this nation can keep this leadership so that the center of gravity of markets, financial power, political power stays on the Western civilization. Because the question is, what could be the guiding values if these trends keep on going and the ship goes from west to east? What are going to be the prevailing values and dreams as we have today, the values and dreams of the founding fathers? So we must think about that future that lays ahead of us. And we have to build it. And that's why we need those leaders. Yes, we must have the institutions. They are indispensable. But leaders are the ones who move the world. And leaders change things and build the desired future that is in our minds. So a lot of challenges and a lot of work for us in this part of the world, on this region of North America. we must link with South America. Today, the emerging economies are coming very strong. We not only see the Indias and the Chinas and the Asian tigers. Now we see Brazil becoming a giant. Now we see Panama growing at rates of 10% a year. Now we see Peru and Colombia growing at 6 or 7% a year. Now we see finally in Latin America the reduction of poverty and the increase of middle-income families. So we have everything at hand to work together. And that's why we need the leader. This leading nation has to be very strong world around. And we need to respect the world institutions like the United Nations, World Bank, and else, so that we can work on building that future. But here we are in our little piece of the globe in our community. On the relationship people to people, on the relationship community to community. There is one key ingredient that most politicians don't even talk about, which is love, which is compassion, which is this people-to-people relationship. With respect, with love, we can build right from the bottom to the top. Compassion and love should be the guiding principles and values to the future. And this only is brought by, in intensity, by women. That's what I frequently say. 21st century is the century of women. And more so it has to be in Latin America. Because we did not give them the respect, the space, the opportunities in the 20th century. But now Latin America is doing it. And this is where we'll change the future of Latin America. Let's keep together. We're not far away. Let's think about what we in our community, in our family, can do to strengthen this relationship and to make sure that we all participate in building this better world this time. Gracias. Amigas y amigos, un placer que me hayan invitado a estar por aquí, conocer de ustedes, y estamos en pie de lucha. Hay que seguir trabajando duro para que esta relación se mejore, para que esta relación sea fructífera. Ustedes cuentan conmigo y tienen una casa ahí en Guanajuato. No dejen de visitarnos.
Muchísimas gracias. Adiós.
Adiós.
Gracias. Bueno, amigos, hemos estado acá en la conferencia que dio el expresidente Fox. El exmandatario tocó varios temas, entre ellos habló sobre el NAFTA, sobre la importancia de legalizar las drogas para que no haya tanto consumo y tanta violencia y enriquecimiento de personas que realmente son inescrupulosas y que es la que están generando mucha violencia en el mundo. Esto y mucho más lo van a ver a través de las páginas de Latino y por supuesto nuestra web. Muchas gracias para Latino Newspaper. Nos encontramos en este momento con el cónsul de México en Raleigh. Él es el señor Carlos Flores Izquierda. ¿Qué le pareció?
Rosy, a mí me pareció un evento magnífico. Creo que ha sido como una carta de presentación de la relación que debe existir entre México y Carolina del Sur. Tanto el señor rector de la Universidad de Furman como el expresidente Fox exploraron la raíz histórica y el potencial que hay, entre algo que al final tocaban, que describían como esta complementariedad que hay por grupos de población, de edades. La sociedad norteamericana tradicional, como la conocimos hasta hace 2, 3 décadas, está envejeciendo y los nuevos sectores se energizan con la fuerza de las llamadas todavía minorías. Hablar de minorías y de mayorías es como poner las cosas en lugares opuestos, casi como antagónicos. La visión más íntegra debe ser hablar de un país que tiene la capacidad de cambiar, de recibir a la gente nueva, a los jóvenes, y de tratar bien a los viejos, a quienes van envejeciendo.
Así es verdad. Él habló, entre otras cosas, sobre líderes, sobre la importancia de formar a los jóvenes como líderes. También habló sobre la importancia de legalizar las drogas. ¿Qué opina usted?
Bueno, yo creo que el liderazgo es la clave para todo. El liderazgo debe basarse en grandes verdades. El liderazgo que se finca en el oportunismo o en expectativas desmedidas no tiene legitimidad. El liderazgo tiene que ganarse, como lo han demostrado los jóvenes estudiantes de Furman, en base a un trabajo y a ejercicios colectivos donde se explore a través de las herramientas de la universidad. Quiere decir justamente eso, universalidad, todas las opciones. Ser un buen líder hoy día es no dejar a nadie fuera, es incluir a todos. Y desde luego el liderazgo debe servir para que a través de la educación llegue la prosperidad, la economía sea una herramienta para satisfacer las necesidades íntimas del ser humano, que, como decía Vicente Fox, descansan en sentimientos como es la compasión y el amor.
Y el licenciado Fox es amante de la igualdad de oportunidades para todas las personas. Él siempre trata de combatir lo que es la violencia con la paz. Un mensaje hermoso, ¿verdad?
Yo creo que sí, muy necesario en este tiempo. Desde luego nada es perfecto, hay cosas que avanzan y a la vez van destruyendo lo que algunos llaman la creatividad destructiva, pero el ser humano tiene esa capacidad, debe mantener viva esa flama de rectificar, de componer, de arreglar las cosas y reponer el curso bueno.
Nos encontramos con el abogado Joseph Bowen, que además es diputado por el County Council, ¿verdad?
Sí.
¿De Greenville?
Sí, de
Greenville. Cuéntanos un poquito, Joy, ¿qué te pareció la exposición del ex mandatario mexicano, presidente Fox?
Sí, está muy bueno que ella vino. Ya tuvo algunas preguntas que quise preguntar, pero todos los estudiantes estaban pidiendo mucho de las drogas. Ya tengo algunas otras preguntas que yo quise preguntar.
¿Qué preguntas querías hacerle, por ejemplo?
¿Por qué no es más fuerte el petróleo, la industria de petróleo en México? Yo creo que ellos pueden hacer algunos cambios para ayudar a la producción de petróleo y la gas natural. Y ya quise preguntar si piensa que vendiendo un poco de Kleenex sería una buena idea por México.
Además de eso, él habló sobre las relaciones que tienen los mexicanos dentro de la comunidad americana. Habló de compasión, habló de gente trabajadora, gente honesta. Él los llamó sus héroes. ¿Qué te dice a ti eso? Especialmente porque eres casado con una persona mexicana. Cuéntanos.
Sí, está bien. Yo creo que es muy importante por la economía de los dos países que hay gente de México aquí y que ellos ayudan la economía de México por mandar dinero allá. Y yo creo que el intercambio entre la gente y la economía es muy importante por los dos países.
Nos encontramos con una joven estudiante que está lista para ingresar a la universidad. Priscila es mexicana, ¿tu apellido es? Gallardo. Priscila Gallardo, y ella nos va a comentar un poquito acerca de qué le pareció esta importante presencia del ex mandatario mexicano. Cuéntanos, Priscila.
Pues la verdad me sorprendió mucho que haya venido hasta acá. Se me hizo algo muy importante. Me gustó mucho lo que dijo, se me hizo muy interesante.
¿Qué te importó más? ¿Qué es lo que más resaltó para ti?
Que dice que la gente hispana debe de ser líder para salir adelante.
Así es.
Lo que tiene que hacer es ser líder grande, hacer cosas grandes, tener compasión, saber tratar a la gente con amor, es lo más importante.
Bueno, qué bueno. Entonces, ¿llegaste muy temprano? ¿Desde hace tiempo te estabas preparando?
Sí, yo ya estaba lista desde la semana pasada que me enteré que iba a estar aquí, que yo tengo que estar ahí, que me interesa mucho saber lo que va a decir.
Porque ¿qué vas a estudiar tú?
Yo quiero estudiar relaciones internacionales. Como lo que está haciendo él, yo quisiera llegar a otros países, hablar con gente, contarles esto, así como lo que dijo él, darles mensajes positivos, como lo hace él.
¡Oh, qué bonito! ¿Y ya estás lista para ir a la universidad?
Sí, ya
¿Sí?
me he graduado en mayo, ya estoy lista para empezar mi carrera.
Qué bueno, pues te felicito. Sé que tienes muy buenas notas en la escuela, ¿es verdad?
Sí, y me esfuerzo lo más que pueda.
¿Y por qué te esfuerzas tanto? Cuéntame.
Me gusta romper ese estereotipo que tiene la gente sobre la gente hispana, que no puede salir adelante. Yo creo que es algo muy importante que como hispana yo, rompa esas barreras y demuestre que sí puedo salir adelante, ser alguien profesional en este país.
¿Y te gusta el liderazgo? ¿Quisieras ser líder en algún momento?
Claro,
¿Sí?
eso es lo más importante en la vida, ser líder, enseñarle a la gente cómo salir adelante.
Pues qué bueno, tenemos entonces un buen ejemplo de una niña que está demostrando, vino de México, estudió, seguirá estudiando, será una profesional y podrá ser una voz para todos los muchachos, los jóvenes y, ¿por qué no?, la gente del futuro. Muchísimas gracias, Priscila, por estas palabras y seguimos con ustedes.